Welcome to episode 5 of What Question Can I Be? I am Genevieve Faulkner. I'm an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator, and I like to empower people to be able to create a greater life for themselves and to be more of themselves. And so these are the weekly videos that I do where you can ask questions if you would like about anything, and I will try to contribute to you in any way I can, offer you some clearings or questions that you can use to create more. So today I thought I would talk about bodies and creating more ease with your body. So first of all, are you treating your body as something that you create with? Are you in a creative partnership with your body? Or sorry, I'm a little OCD about the camera. Or are you treating it like something less? Are you controlling your body? Or are you, hi guys, well, thanks for joining me. Or are you treating it as an equal that gets to create with you? So if we break it down, you and your body are two different entities, right? But what you ideally want in order to create a greater reality for yourself and for your body, you want to be able to be in communion with each other. And the way to do that is to not have any judgment of your body. Hey, Agnes, how you doing? Because judgment, which I've talked about before, creates separation. It creates walls, and it stops you actually receiving from your body. And your body is actually like a giant receiver, really. It receives all sorts of information all of the time from the environment around you. And if you're not willing to receive from it, what happens is a lot of that energy gets kind of locked in your body instead of free flowing and being able to just kind of move through it. And so that's where often you'll create issues within the body, sometimes because you're not willing to receive from it. Sometimes it's not information from the outside. Sometimes it's, you've got belief systems, you've got judgments, you've got points of view that you've locked in your body that you don't want to be aware of. And then that gets suppressed and creates all sorts of issues also. So, what would it take for you to have more ease with your body? What would it take to have communion with your body? So one of the tools of access that I think I've talked about before is the heavy and light tool. And this is a great one to practice with bodies, but especially your own body. So you can start, or you can do muscle testing if you've tried that before, which is like asking your body, holding your hand tight together and then asking yes and then asking no, and your hand will go apart. But heavy and light works just as well. So asking your body, hey body, show me a light, show me heavy. And then always being in question about what really works for your body. So this is like with everything. So body, what would you like to wear today? What if you didn't, just kind of throw anything on? What if you're in question every day of what can I wear today that's going to contribute the most to my body and create the most for my life? Because different clothes have different energies. And it may seem like just a small choice, and yet the thing that you wear on a particular day may change the energy of the day quite dynamically, because it can change the way that you're feeling about yourself. So you want to always be in question of what is going to create the most, first of all, with clothing. Also, you want to look at with your body, are you honoring it? Are you nurturing it? Are you taking care of it? Or are you neglecting it? So being in communion with your body, if you're willing to have that creative partnership with your body, it can also contribute to creating more money in your life. Because the whole purpose of having money is to also, there's other purposes as well, but really to take care of your body, okay? So do you spend money on your body? Do you buy things that are comfortable for it? Nice clothes? Do you buy, comfortable bedding or whatever? Or do you just think that it doesn't need any of that? So a lot of this reality, and religions and whatnot have we have like all of these belief systems that kind of make the body almost like a lesser being or a secondary thing that's not as important. And what if it was? Like, what if having that connection with your body is vital to creating a greater reality for yourself and for the earth? I like to see bodies as really like cells. Like if you have we have like lots of cells in our bodies that make up our bodies. And then I kind of look at bodies on this planet as being like the cells of the earth. So if there was no separation between us and the earth, when you lock things like in the body, when cells aren't kind of communicating with each other, or, they're storing lots, that's where you get things like cancer. So it's kind of the same thing. It's like if you aren't willing to kind of have that communion with your body and also allow that communion with your body, with the earth, that's also where you can create all sorts of sickness. So what would it take for you to have that communion with the earth and with your body? So are you willing to receive from the earth, and are you willing to allow your body to receive from the earth? And do you do that enough? Because one of the things also, like with the way that most people function in reality, often they get so into, although not so much now because of the lockdown, but they get so ingrained in like Groundhog Day, they often kind of forget to just connect with the earth, right? Or just go out in nature. And what if that can be such a contribution to creating ease, not only for your body, but for every area of your life? So feel free to ask any questions, guys, like about bodies or the earth, if you would like to, because I'm just going to like jabber on, unless anyone has any questions. Yeah, so other tools for your body. The other thing is like you want to look at being in question about how much you eat and how much your body actually requires. Because the thing is when we have all of these conclusions about how much we require, often it's way too much. And any amount of food that you give your body that isn't what your body requires, that actually takes away from your creative energy. So it starts to diminish your body instead of nurture it. And so you may find, like for me, the more I've been in tune with my body, the less I eat. And sometimes it's like I'll just need like small amounts of a certain substance, like especially with doing lots of access consciousness clearings. When you do a lot of access consciousness clearings, you need lots of sugar, salt, and water. But yeah, the amount of food I have, yay, took a long walk, is much less, sorry. Took a long walk, restoration with the earth, asking to be in communion with the elementals, yay! So grateful for you, Kathy. Yeah, and how's your body feeling asking for that? Has it created change in your body? Restoration with communion with the earth is a body process in access consciousness that we use to connect to the earth. It's amazing, and it can create a lot of change, because often we can store all sorts of things in our body also because we think that it's contributing to the earth by holding it in. And actually the earth is kind of like, it likes to filter everything out of our bodies. So when we store things like lots of resentment or that kind of thing in our bodies, often the earth actually wants to take it from us. And when we allow it to do that, it sets us free, and then it creates more ease for it. So something you can ask yourself is, what am I holding on to that the earth desires to receive from me? And what if I was willing to gift it? And one of the tools in Access that we use is a 1, 2, 3. So you just like if you ask that question and then you like kind of gather the energy and then just go 1, 2, 3 and you gift it to the earth. And if you have any kind of aches or pains, sometimes that's a tool that you can use, and you can do a 1, 2, 3 and then it may just completely disappear, because it's not your pain. It's actually that the earth required an energy from you. So yeah. What else? What else can I share with you about bodies? So food, clothes, being in question, same with sex. Always, okay, having aches in the solar plexus or digestion. What questions can I ask around digestion? Cool. Same with sex though. So you always want to be in question with sex. You never want to make your body do anything it doesn't want to do in the time that it doesn't want to do it. So you don't want to be like, just like overeating. You always want to be in question of, is this going to be fun? Am I going to be grateful? Am I going to feel lighter afterwards? Because otherwise, same kind of thing. You're going against your body. And the more you go against your body, the more you're actually sabotaging your life. So, and you're kind of killing it. So, digestion, what questions can you ask about digestion? Digestion's an interesting one, because often like it's all of the things that we're aware of that we don't know how to process. So what do you want, like you can ask, what am I unwilling to digest? What am I unwilling to receive? I did a session yesterday on a girl who was having stomach problems, and with her there was a lot of sickness. So I was asking her the question, like what is she aware of that is sickening her? Because usually with digestion, that's what it is. It's like some sort of awareness that you have that you don't know how to handle. So with your stomach, what are you unable to digest? Like, are you able to digest other people's anger? Are you able, or like handle it or receive it basically? Because if you're willing to receive it, it basically just goes through you. If you're not willing to receive it, if you've got a point of view about a particular energy, you create a resistance and a reaction to it, and that's where it gets locked in your body. And depending on the kind of energy it is, sometimes different energies can get locked in different areas. But the digestive system is often will have, kill energy, anger, rage, fury, hate. There can be lots of trauma stored. And there can also be, and of course it's different with everyone. So you always want to ask questions, and it may be different for you. And simply starting with, what is this? Like, what is this? You can always put your hand wherever like you're having the issue, and that can sometimes help you connect to the energy a lot more. And just like ask your body, hey body, can you show me what's going on here? And if you feel like that you're not getting a good response, you can actually like ask your body, hey body, can you show me a different way? Because sometimes it takes a little bit of time to practice that communication and get really good at it, especially if you've had a lot of separation from your body. But the other thing that can be stored within the digestive system is control issues, and a resistance to like moving forward, maybe about absorbing stuff in people's bodies. I still do a lot. I ask questions, but it helps. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, is it is like the digestive system, it is really connected to, parts of it is connected to the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is part of our psychic awareness, really. Like it's our ability to perceive all of the feelings or whatnot of other people's worlds. And if you've got healing capacities that you're not fully acknowledging, that's where you'll end up sucking it all in. But also if you're so that's where you'll end up sucking it in. But also if you've got a resistance to those energies. So if you do find you're locking all sorts of other people's stuff in your body, those are two things you want to look at. You want to look at, okay, what is it that's getting locked in my body? Like, am I storing other people's rage, or am I storing other people's grief? Like, what are the energies that you feel like you can't handle? Like, for me, for a long time, it was like stress, like anxious people just make me want to run a mile, right? And I'd lock that anxiety in my body. And then I'd get like OCD, you know? And so what I would do is be aware of that, be in question, and then I would use the access consciousness clearing state and be like, okay, everywhere I'm not willing to receive anxiety, I'm going to destroy and uncreate it. Times God's in, right, wrong, good, bad, or no, perpetual shorts, pros, and beyonds. But also anywhere I'm not aware of any of my own. So because the stuff that we store in our bodies, it's almost like it creates this, well, an attraction or a magnetic kind of pull to that being what we take on from other people. So if you don't suppress anything in your universe and lock it in your body, then you don't then kind of pull in everybody else's suppressed stuff. So what are you guys suppressing in your body that if you didn't would allow your body to have more ease? Yeah, stressed out people. What would it be like if you didn't suppress anything? Another way you can tell is if you're starting to suppress things, and sometimes it's like if you're if you're getting that OCD type thing going on, or the need to eat, because sometimes that will be something that will occur for me if I'm aware of a lot of energy that I'm in resistance to. I'll like start wanting to snack all the time. Okay, so it's like these automatic kind of response systems that we have and coping mechanisms that we create in order to deal with our awareness that if we stop for a moment, get present, and actually be in the question of what is this and what am I resisting, it can set our body free. Okay, so what if your body didn't have to hold on to anything for you? What if you were willing to just receive everything? So and another thing is like, are you willing to receive the judgments from other people about your body? Because the thing is that our body, like, what if our body isn't actually a solid thing? Even though in this reality we've got like, you know, whatever makes up the body, what if it isn't actually solid? What if it is energy too? And what if it's our points of view that actually creates what it looks like? And so if you give up the points of view, what if it could look different? If you aren't willing to receive other people's judgments about what you look like, that will affect your body. There's been like, I don't know if you've seen like those experiments where people will take two plants and they'll like judge one and then not the other. And then you'll find that like over time, like the plant that has judgment will die or diminished and the other one's like thriving. What if it's the same for our bodies? So when you're not willing to receive the judgment and be an allowance of it, what if it starts to age your body? Also trying to digest the control going on in the government and the stress of being, wow. So not an allowance of control. So if you're not an allowance of that, because if you're trying to digest it, you're not an allowance of it because you're not allowing it to go through you. You want to look at where, even though it's government control, you want to look at where else you've been controlled in the past that you're still holding on to the control programs that makes you then resist more control. So usually it comes back to mum and dad and controlling parents. And you want to look at like, okay, where am I still being the effect of my controlling mum or my controlling dad? Okay, destroy and uncreate everything that is. Everywhere I've decided anybody has control over me. But with government stuff, it's interesting because it kind of ties into schooling, because we spend so much time in school and getting trained into that way of thinking that something does have control over us, kind of, you know, needing permission to go to the toilet and whatnot. And so you can also destroy and uncreate all of your control programs based upon your time at school, and see whether that starts to change any resistance you have to the government stuff and whether or not you can digest it with ease. And then you can also ask, so for any energy you're not willing to receive and it's creating stress in your body, you can ask, like, what would it take for me to be an allowance of this? So being interesting point of view, access body processes and bars help dynamically because they undo the places where we've kind of locked in trauma or locked in kind of like shut down and can't receive based upon that. Unfortunately, like the way that our reality is, most people live such a separate kind of, like they perceive their body as being separate to everything else. And so that most people's bodies are really quite shut down and they are not able to receive much. And that can be something that if you're energetically aware, that can be something that you have a hard time with also. So being around bodies that are kind of like asking for help and not getting it, because most people ignore their bodies. They don't include their bodies in their choices. And so if there's any resistance in you to that, if you get around people's bodies and you're like, you want to look at, okay, where am I not including my body in my life? Where am I ignoring it? What am I ignoring? What is my body trying to communicate to me that I've not been willing to receive? And what would it take for it to have more ease? If you are someone that has healing capacities and your body, like an empath, for example, and you have a tendency to try and transmute energy, you want to ask your body, okay, body, can we only do this now if someone's actually willing to receive it? Because if you're trying to transmute, everybody's pain and trauma and suffering, a lot of people don't actually want to give it up. And if you take it from them, they just create more. And so then what happens is your body becomes more and more depleted. And so you want to ask it that, but also you want to ask you want to make sure that you're acknowledging, if you're a healer, if you suspect you're a healer, you can just ask now, like, do I have healing capacities? If you get a sense of lightness, yeah, you're a healer. If you're not willing to totally acknowledge that, that's where you become the effect of everything, okay? So what healing capacities do you guys have that you've not acknowledged, and how could you use them to your advantage? Because any healing capacity that your body has will debilitate your body if you're not willing to acknowledge it and be in question about when it's appropriate to use it and when it's not. The thing with control at school is awesome. Yay! Yeah, so much stuff there. So much stuff there. Yeah, we're just kind of not given like the empowerment to be in question and be free. What would it take for that to change on this planet? What would it take for schools to teach kids to be in question and to know what they know and to include their bodies in their choices? What would it take? So, yeah, what else? What else can I share with regards to bodies? Bodies. That might be it for the moment, unless you guys have any questions. Is there anything in your world that your body would like to know? The other thing, like I spoke about entities and demons last week, and the body also picks up on this stuff. So that's also something, if you're having aches, pains, chills, you might want to also look at, do I have some sort of entity capacity that I'm not acknowledging? Are there any entities around me right now? something related to hormones. Hormones is a really interesting one, or I think it is. Um, so one of the things that I've found with hormones, and it depends on the hormone, but like sometimes with some people's bodies when they've had hormone imbalances that I've worked on, sometimes it's about issues with control. So like if they've got like thymus or thyroid type stuff, sometimes like I've worked on people that have had autoimmune conditions, that it's all been about control and where they felt controlled as children, and undoing that kind of stuff. I've worked on people that have had hormonal stuff in regards to like, you know, female reproductive system type stuff, low hormones, or God, my like ability for language is weird today. And that I find really interesting, because when it's that kind of stuff, that there seems to be all sorts of points of view around males and females. So if someone's got like low estrogen, or some sort of estrogen, you know, hormonal stuff, sometimes there may be all sorts of programs about, you know, women being weaker. They might have all sorts of like pain and trauma from them being abused, or their families, their mothers being abused, their grandparents being abused, locked within their body, that creates the imbalance. So it sounds really weird, but we like have a tendency to take on the genetic memories of the people that came before us, and that can all be stored within our bodies also. So you can have all sorts of body memories come up sometimes when you're doing this kind of work, and they're not yours. They're your grandparents or your grandparents' grandparents or whatever. Same with like if you've like with the testosterone. Same thing. Like sometimes there can be stuff around, you know, men being, if that's at like being too controlling, just yeah, it's a really interesting thing to look at within the body, and looking at how it connects to the relationships with people and sexes and all of that. Whereas adrenaline will often be connected to, you know, it can be connected to the abuse stuff, past abuse, where someone's still like in that fight or flight response. Often connected to people that have a sense of like over responsibility for other people. So this usually like, you know, the scapegoats of the family that had to kind of like take everything on and carry everything for everybody else. Sometimes they'll have like adrenal stuff going on. The healers that are like carrying everybody's problems for them and not including themselves in the healing. So getting burnout. So it's really interesting. Like every system of the body can have so much information for you to kind of be aware of, if you're willing to actually just be present with it and ask questions. And the body, like for me, bodies, again, might sound a little weird, but bodies speak to me, and I don't really see them as being different to people. Like organs are kind of like people. So energetically, like if I just be present with an organ in someone's body and talk to it and ask it questions, it's just like having a conversation with a person. I may not like get words, but it will give me the energy of, just like with talking with entities, it will give me the energy of like what's going on for it. So it is something that you can just practice just by like, you know, closing your eyes, getting present and asking to kind of connect to different organs in your body, and just being like, hey, so what's going on for you? And you may get this sense of like, you know, depending where it is, different things. Maybe like if we use the liver, for example, because that's an easy one, you might get like a sense of like it feeling like overwhelmed or like really angry, or Yeah, it's interesting what comes up. But one of the things with all of this, like with any psychic awareness, and kind of facilitating yourself or facilitating other people, the more you be the question, the more information you receive. So there is never ever like anything blocking you from getting awareness other than your willingness to receive it. And so the less you go into doubt about yourself and the more you kind of just be present and kind of be in question, the more everything, your body, the earth, other people's bodies, entities, everything can speak to you. So, yeah, any other questions? It's a great thing. It is a fun thing, like to practice. I know that like Agnes is a theta healer, which is something that I started with before I did Access as well, which teaches you how to kind of like intuitively scan the body, which is really cool. So receive this information can help heal yourself. Just it. Yeah. Well, once you're aware of anything, you can change it. Basically, like if you've got any kind of health condition, asking. I mean, it's by the time the body has created something physical, there's usually a lot of source points to it. So it's not just one thing. So you don't want to like go into it thinking, oh, I need, once I find the answer, I'll be healed. Because it doesn't really work like that. Often there will be a journey for you to go on in order to heal some sort of physical issue. Sometimes it can be fast, sometimes not so fast. But it's making that choice in the beginning of, okay, whatever it takes, this is going to change. Body, show me what is going on here. Often there'll be like different things that need to be looked at. So you want to look at what was going on when the issue occurred. Sorry, I just read a message. What was going on when the issue occurred? What will happen if the person gets better? You want to look at, are they carrying, is this somebody else's? But the more awareness you get, the more you can just be like, oh, cool, this is what this is. Okay, I'm going to let this go. And if you do that, it's like the more and more you do that, the more and more the body can change. And asking the question, okay, body, what else do you require in order to heal? Because sometimes the body does require something, like whether it be something medical, whether it be some sort of alternative therapy, it may require some sort of touch. Like the more questions you ask your body and the more you're willing to kind of get the awareness. And it is just like being in the question with the universe. So you're not like asking the question and then like sitting there waiting and being like, okay, it's not communicating with me. It's like, hey, body, can you let me know? And then go on with your day. And it may be that you'll be walking down the street and all of a sudden you'll get this urge to go into a shop. And in that shop, you'll discover some sort of something that your body requires. So yeah, it's really kind of following the energy and allowing your body to lead when it's required and letting you know what it is that it requires. So Wendy had a question about an entity launching stuff at her. How can she tell what the information it is that it has for her? So Wendy, lower all your walls and barriers. Be willing, like just like what I'm talking about with bodies, you want to kind of get present. You want to sit down, take a minute, lower all your walls and barriers and ask to receive it. Like if you were with an angry person, right? Because if it's throwing things, it's probably maybe a little irritated or angry that it's wanting your attention. But if you were with an angry person, the way to deal with an angry person is to not have any barriers up with them, because then they've got nothing to fight against. So if you're willing to be present with someone that's angry without any walls or barriers and be in question, often that will kind of dissipate whatever's going on. And it's the same with an entity. So if you close your eyes, lower your walls and barriers, get present, and then be in question of like, hey, what's up here? What's going on? and see what information you get that way. It may be that it's come to you because there's something that it's trying to let you know that you need to resolve in you. So you want to look at if there's any similarities between it and the way that it's behaving and anybody else that you've kind of grown up with, basically. So yeah. So any other questions before we finish up? Thank you for joining me, guys. I'm very grateful. And feel free, like if there's any topics that you would like me to talk about, feel free to like leave a comment, and then I can create more lives around that topic. Cool. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.